Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's 13 minutes past 4 on Friday, the 22nd of October. VectorVest USA, and all going well. As you can see, all the measures of the trend on VectorVest are up. 2,000 shares on a buy, 1,500 on a sell, and the buy-sell ratio sitting at 1.31. The S&P is up half a tick or something, and clearly there's an all-time high there at 4545. So it's going to take quite a bit of energy to get through that. And I think I've got the chart here. There we go. There's the S&P chart, and if you have a look at it, that's this incredible run that we've had, and we're pushing through this high after a great couple of weeks. And long may it last. Is it going to push through it cleanly, or are we going to see a pullback to one of these old highs? Well, who knows, but nevertheless I think a pullback is certainly well overdue. From the low of this is wave 1, this is wave 2, and I think this is obviously wave 3. Invariably it'll go through the old high to suck in all the trend followers and then do its best to spit them out. So I wouldn't be at all surprised to see a fairly decent break and then a pullback. I've been fairly quiet this week. I've done a couple of intraday trades. I don't like buying into markets on a swing trading basis when they're at least in a short-term basis overbought. So I've taken a couple of swing trades, relatively quiet week. A couple of intraday trades, should I say, a relatively quiet week. The portfolio of spread bets is going reasonably well. That's what I'm holding, and I've added two. I've added two a couple of days ago, and I got those out of the VectorVest Midas Touch Watchlist, and they are well away from semiconductors. They're well away from any form of IT. One's a building company, the other's an insurance, and I had never heard of the darn things before, except that they've got exceptionally good VectorVest metrics. So let's have a look at how these are going. And if I chart them, there we go. This is this building company, and as you can see, earnings per share running up very strongly indeed over the last year. And the VectorVest valuation up here somewhere, and it looks to me as if it's just charted and completed a cup and handle pattern, and yours truly bought into it. I see that little inside bar as it broke above that little inside bar. I thought that was a good low risk entry. The VectorVest stop loss is down about 53, and clearly I wouldn't want to risk nearly as much as that on it, but I bought into it at 58. It's at 58.96 now, so we'll see how it looks, but there's a huge target in this thing from this cup and handle pattern, and the VectorVest metrics couldn't be better. This is Lincoln National Insurance. Again, I've never heard of the darn thing, but again, exceptionally good VectorVest fundamentals. It came out of the Midas Touch Watchlist, which is a standard watch list on VectorVest. That's the valuation. There's earnings per share has gone from 9 to 11 over the last 6 months. And if we have a look just at the chart on its own, I couldn't resist this. It broke out of, again, this cup and handle pattern. Maybe not that easy to see. I like the way it pulled back in 3 waves here, and then it charted one of those 1, 2, 3 patterns, and bought it just at that horizontal line, and I'm going to place a stop loss. Sorry, that's not the stop loss. The stop loss is there, okay, at 70. So let's see how they go. They look fine to me. That's Nvidia. Again, it's at an old high, and my stop loss is at entry, so I'm taking a little bit of profit. That's AMD, again at an all-time high, entry point at that little horizontal line, stops at entry, and I'm going to do my best to let that run. And that's Microsoft, broken the old high. Again, the stops at entry, so I'm reasonably happy with that. So if you have a look at the Midas Touch watch list, you'll see those two new shares relatively easily at the top of that list. As you can see, they've got outstanding RV at 1.74. The relative value in Vector Vest is the share price appreciation potential over a window of 3 years into the future in relation to what a AAA rated corporate bond will pay. And those two shares have got excellent numbers, 1.74, 1.59. The CIs are in great shape. The long-term trend is in great shape. And both shares are undervalued. Both shares have got high values for relative safety. And both shares have got huge forecast earnings growth rate. So the fundamentals all saying yes, and I like the cup and handle pattern low. Maybe a little bit late in getting in, but I did my best to try and find an entry based on that inside bar on builders and on that 1, 2, 3 pattern on LNC. So let's see how they go. If we now look to the UK, well, the UK still in a confirmed down situation as of the close on Thursday, but the DEW has turned up. And if I look here, I've got a very noisy chart here. Let's get rid of some of the stuff. This is the little green triangle that was printed on Thursday night after the close. And this means that the medium-term market timing system, known as the DEW, and I'll spare you the acronym, is up, and that means that swing traders should certainly be taking positions, and I've added a couple of positions and taking one new position based on that. As you can see, the DPO is a detrended price oscillator. It's a momentum oscillator, and it's got a look back period of 20 days, so it's not a short-term momentum. It's looking at 20 days, and you can see the reverse divergence that we've got here from that low and away back from this low itself. So that reverse divergence is telling me that this market wants to go again. If I put on the MACD, and the MACD I've been looking at for much longer than the DPO, and it was taught to me by the guy who in fact put it together, a guy called Jerry Appel. It's Jerry's standard settings 12, 26 and 9, and you can see that there's a very strong reverse divergence on the MACD, and that reverse divergence on the MACD is known by some analysts as a slingshot, because it invariably produces a strong high momentum move. And I say invariably because there's a probability associated with everything in this business. Nobody knows for sure, folks, what's going to happen next on a trade by trade basis. And if you think you do know what's going to happen next on a trade by trade basis, you're either God or you're setting yourself up for a terrible disappointment when it doesn't. But that's my opinion. I could be wrong, but that's what I firmly believe. If you're right 8 times out of 10, that means that you're wrong 2 times out of 10. On the next trade, you don't know whether it's one of the 8 or one of the 2. That's the reality of the situation, folks. And that's what Mark Douglas calls in his book, Thinking in Probabilities. And it's darn difficult. We all understand probabilities at an intellectual level, but very few of us understand probabilities at a stomach level. This looks like a highly probable setup, and as you can see, the market obeyed this level for quite a long time now. So if I have a look at Vector Vest, and I go to that portfolio, which was started way back on the 24th of March last year. That's when that's when I took the first entry into this portfolio, and JD Sports has been in it since then. Now I want to look at Cape. I want to look at JD Sports. Oh, David, come on. JD Sports, and I want to look at Volex. because I added VLX this morning based on the DEW signal, because I view it as a swing trade. So if I look at these, there's Cape, folks, and again I've got the MACD on here, but it's also showing a little, it's coming down to the right place, but to me this looks like an incredibly good level on Cape. As you can see, on earnings pushed right up here, and it's pulled back once, and I wouldn't be at all surprised to see it go down and in fact run those lows. But I bought a few this morning, and that's my first add. I bought the share somewhere down around here, and I added to it slightly under £4 this morning, I think, give or take a tick. So I've added to that. And JD Sports I bought some more of, and I see it's gone up quite nicely since I bought the darn things. And there was an acquisition in Greece, I believe. Again, you can see that it's nearly fired here. I really like the way this came back in 5 waves in this tight flag down to this level. And certainly I think if you can get into it as close to £10 as you can, that would be great. A break above that high would in fact probably set this off, assuming the general market keeps going. And the last one is VLX, and I've been itching to get into this share for quite a few days now. It did exactly the same thing. It pulled back to the old high, and you could draw the flag type, and if you had a glass or two of whiskey, you could see the 5 waves within the flag quite easily. But if I blow this up a little bit, let me get rid of all that. I hate charts that are too cluttered, folks. It's so easy to put so much muck in the chart that you can't see the price. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You can also see a little bit of a falling wedge in that, if you have another glass of whiskey. But this is 1, 2, 3, and I felt that was a good place to get into it, and I bought into that today. In fact, all of these things were done this morning, just after the I worked out that I didn't look at it last night. Found out this morning the DEW had turned up, and I've added to those positions. So that's what I've done. Volex is a new position for me, and I've added to Cape Tech, and I've added to JD Sports. JD Sports, in fact, is the second add since last March. So building a position on JD Sports. JD Sports has been very kind to yours truly since I came back from South Africa full time. Very, very kind to me. And that is a behavioral finance mistake, where you in fact gravitate to a share that's in fact stood you in good stead in the past, and you shun a share that in fact cost you money in the past. It is a behavioral finance mistake that I'm very aware of, but nevertheless it's a mistake that I keep making. Whether it's going to be a mistake in this instance or not, time will tell. That's a nice looking little candle yesterday, an outside candle, plus it's also a hammer pin bar type candle. So I'm reasonably happy with that, and so that's what I've been up to. When the confirmed call arrives, then I will do my best to get fully invested over the next few days. With any luck, that'll pitch up tonight, so that's what I've been up to, and I'll be looking at some of the usual suspects to get back fully invested. This POLR, I shall in fact be looking at that. I'll be looking at Lion Trust again. I'll be looking at Ashted again. I'll be looking at Watches of Switzerland, and Games Workshop certainly, and Barclays maybe, okay, and Cranswick if it comes off a sell at very, very good levels at the moment. So lots to be done to get back to fully invested, but made a start on it today. Again, folks, we do not know what's going to happen next. All we can do is have a simple set of rules and do our best to bring enough testicular fortitude to the party to be able to in fact obey those rules without fear or hesitation. And anybody that tells you that it's really, really easy hasn't done a great deal of trading. So let's go back to VectorVest US. There's the home page, and as you can see, since we last spoke, the S&P is in fact off 12 points off that high. Let's look at the 24-hour market. There we got, and as you can see, I would suspect we're going to see a little bit of a pullback here. I haven't done anything today at all. If you're an intraday trader, folks, let somebody else break their neck around daily highs or all-time highs like that. It gets very, very noisy. If it breaks through, then the going will be quite easy. If it's shunned, then the going will be quite easy. At old highs, you get a great deal of noise, a great deal of different opinions in the market. The turtles, trend followers, would be buying the breakout. And there's a lady called Linda Bradford Rashke, and I hope I pronounced her name correctly. If I didn't, my dear apologies. But she's got a technique called turtle soup, which was actually fading the breakouts, where the market would break out and then go back for a couple of days. So an awful lot of diverse opinions in the market at old highs. But the star of the day is this fella. Off a bit since I looked at it a moment ago, but that's quite a convincing break of that trend line on gold. 1, 2, 3, 4 touches. I bet you a case of beer that that's a 78% retracement up there, and the shorts have hit it again. They hit it here at the 62. So I'm quite sure they've hit it again, but nevertheless, that's quite a breakthrough by the gold bulls up around that level. So I'm not in the position, apart from the 2 gold stocks that I've held onto in a very embarrassing few months where they've done absolutely nothing at all, but pay very, very good dividends. The other stock, the other commodity that's off a bit is copper. And that's the copper price. This is this consolidation that we've sweated through, and it went up, went to the old high, came off the old high, and now, even under the most positive circumstances, folks, we're coming back to kiss that trend line, and I guarantee that'll be a confluence of the trend line and a fib if it holds. Okay, so probably a bit of sweat. Oh, I did look a moment ago on BlackRock World Minerals, was in fact up on the day, a tick or two. So all is not lost. Folks, it looks good. I think even under the most positive circumstances, a pullback on the S&P. Where are we now? So much open. A pullback on the S&P to 4,450 would be quite in line with this pullback. If we put on a fib here from that low to that high, if this is a wave 3, pullback, the most likely pullback would be 38% of that, can also get to 50% of that. So that would take us back, and there's a confluence between that 38% and that high, so easily come back. Let's see what level that is. That is at 44.73. That's 60 points in the S&P, and certainly if we opened on Monday morning with Friday's candle looking like that, I would be certainly looking for shorts. Okay, but not going to do anything today. Would it look like intraday? And of course, it's always easy in hindsight, isn't it? Easy to say I could short it underneath that low, but I left it well alone, and experience over many years has taught me that at major old highs, a great deal of noise for the reasons that I've explained a few minutes ago. So I wish you all a good weekend, and I'll be online Monday afternoon at 1:30 UK time. We'll go through all of this in a great deal of detail. Those of you that are not VectorVest customers, well, and you want to sit in for one, then just email me, david.paul@vectorvest.com, and I'll send you a complimentary invite. Thanks very much, guys. Bye-bye.